Hello, class of 2023. This is Mr. Legg. We're about to start getting into real ICAP for the year. Before we do that, I want to talk with you a little bit about how my approach is as it relates to working with our students. And that really is driven by my time working with our students for the past 11 years. I started at Montbello High School and then spent 3 years there and then 8 years here at Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Early College. But also, what influences a lot is my experiences with my family, particularly my three girls who all graduated from different levels of school last year. But seeing them and serving you has really, really helped shape how I serve our students here at Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Early College. You can see from the pictures there, these are students, primarily seniors and juniors from last year that I've worked with over time, many of them for many years, and hold them all very close to my heart and really value forming deep relationships with our students. Now, I'm a little worried about being able to do that this year. One, because a lot of new students to me, because in the pandemic, I did not have the chance to meet everybody like I would have liked to, and now also because I'm inheriting Miss Wicker's students. Now, I've always prided myself in serving all of our students. But this year will be a challenge. So please come and get to know me because I want to know you. So I'm going to show you a path. This is my oldest daughter. And basically, what you'll see is the pictures progress in her age. And up top, those are her youngest years, of course, with the top right corner being a homecoming picture she took while in high school. But my oldest daughter always knew exactly what she wanted to be. So with that picture where she was Mulan to the top left, and then that picture where she's holding her little sister, she knew even then that she wanted to be a doctor. It was crazy. She knew very early on that she wanted to be a doctor. And so you'll see to the bottom left, that is her graduating from Howard University with a biology degree and a chemistry degree. So she was a biology chemistry double major. The second picture you see there at the bottom, that is her teaching chemistry and physical science in Africa. She had a chance to do that while she was at Howard University during the summer, and that really changed her life. And what that did was not only change her desire just to be a doctor, but also then added a belief that she wanted to serve others by helping get people access to healthcare. That healthcare is a civil right, is something that everyone deserves access to, good healthcare, affordable healthcare. And so she decided to, instead of going directly into medical school after she graduated college, she went and got her master's in public health. And so that's the third picture there, is her graduating with her friends, getting her master's in public health. And then you'll see to the right, this is a picture from this year. And that is her at what they call her white coat ceremony, starting her first year of medical school. And she is one of those students, like I said, from the very beginning, and just one of those people from the very beginning. She knew exactly what she wanted to do. And those people are pretty unique because things often change. And who knows, things may change for her in the future. But from the very beginning, she knew exactly what she wanted to do. Now, this is my middle daughter. She, you can see again, progressing from age. Um, Top three pictures are when she was younger and starting to move towards high school. And then bottom left picture, actually, so she married her high school sweetheart, who was her boyfriend since ninth grade, basically. And they won senior prom king and queen at their school. And you see they graduated high school together. And then he joined the Marines. And she initially started college here. But the interesting thing about her was she did not like high school. She ended up maintaining about a B average in high school, but only because, primarily because she knew I would be on her case if she didn't. And she was all over the place. She wanted to be a CNA, so a certified nursing assistant. She wanted to be a caterer. She wanted to do a lot of things that did not require getting a college degree. Just in this case, the things we were talking about was talking about getting certifications. And initially, that was hard for me to think of. Oh, my daughter's not going to go to college. But I just began to understand over time that she needed to have her own path. And it wasn't until her senior year that she decided that she wanted to serve in the criminal justice field, whether it was as a police officer or as a victim's advocate, working with those who were victims of crimes. And so in her senior year, she knew she wanted to go to college at that point. And I was hands off. It wasn't anything that I did other than not giving her the pressure of having to do anything in particular. And that was hard for me to do. But she did get married and move to live with her husband where he was stationed, but still finished her degree last year and actually is doing an internship now as a victim's advocate in North Carolina where she lives. She still works 4 days a week at a nutrition store. She's really into fitness. But she's still also pursuing her dream of working in the criminal justice field and hopes actually to return here next year when her husband is out of the Marines and to start a career in criminal justice, being someone who changes the system, being someone who supports women, in particular, women who are victim of crime here in Colorado. And so her major was criminal justice and her minor was women's studies. She was the only person to graduate with that combination. And the interesting thing is, again, she was all over the place in high school. And what I didn't realize is like she was closer to me than my first daughter, who people often say is very much like me. I didn't have things figured out all in high school either. And then this is my youngest daughter. And you'll see a lot of her early life was defined by her athleticism and participation in gymnastics. She was an amazing gymnast who started at 18 months in a little mommy and daddy tumbling class and stayed with it until she was at a level where she was competing against Olympic level competition. She was not an Olympic gymnast, but she was competing against that competition. And what happened is in eighth grade, by the time she was in eighth grade, she had suffered a lot of injuries over her time. And she was growing tired of it and was thinking she wanted a fresh new start. And so she experienced one final injury, tore ligaments in her ankle, like the summer of her eighth grade, and decided she wasn't going to do gymnastics anymore. And for me as a parent, as a counselor, that was really scary because I knew a big transition into high school, how big it was. And I also knew a lot of what she, up to that point, a lot of her was defined by her time in gymnastics and being a gymnast. And so those two big transitions were going to be huge. And you'll see these are her pictures in high school, another homecoming picture, in the middle, her senior picture, and on the right side, her graduation picture. And she too struggled with finding exactly her path. Now, she was a very good student. She was an AB student in high school, and she was accepted to a college and received a good amount of money to attend a college. But she decided, with COVID and with trying to find herself, that she did not want to enroll in college. And again, another one of those things that was hard for me to see as a college counselor. It just doesn't click. As a high school counselor, excuse me, it just doesn't click that your child is going to take that path. You think they're going to go to college just because. But again, I had to honor her path, and she's a great young woman and was a great student, and is still trying to figure things out. Now she deferred her enrollment to CSU, which means she has the option to go there next year if she wants to. But really, it is about her finding the right path for her, especially in these really tricky times with COVID and the games that it plays with us in our minds. But again, for me as a counselor, as a father, it is about understanding that everybody has their own path. Um, so again, my girls really, really drove that for me. Um, and then my own path. To the left, you'll see pictures of me and my mom. My mom is Vietnamese. You see in the bottom right corner of those pictures on the left, you'll see a little bit of my dad. My dad is black and was a soldier. And my goal was not to omit him here, but they divorced while I was right before high school started. And he was gone for pretty much all of my high school. And so my mom was really the biggest influence in my life. But she had very little experience. She only had an elementary age education from Vietnam. And so um, I had to really navigate a lot of high school on my own. And so you'll see in the middle, that's me in elementary school with my great outfit on. And then you'll see at the bottom, I ended up marrying my high school sweetheart. And my high school sweetheart is the mother of my three children. So that is our prom picture at her school to the left at the bottom. And then in the middle is a picture of us fairly recently attending an event, a special event actually for our students. Um, but really, what defined my time was not having my father around in high school. And then in high school, I did very well, but I didn't have anyone that was telling me the things I needed to be doing, the things I deserved. Um, and as a result of not having someone who could point me that direction at home, as a result of my own procrastination and just lack of knowledge and lack of initiative, I didn't get the things that I deserved with doing as well as I did in high school. I didn't. I took the ACT back then once, um, and was so scared I never took it again. I was supposed to take it again. I slept through it, um, and as a result, again, during my time in high school, I did not end up getting the opportunities that I deserved, and I am to blame for some of that, but also I wish there were people who had stepped up for me too in the school. And so what you'll see here to the right was actually an article written in the Aurora Public Schools newsletter. And this was when I had become a banker. So before I became an educator, I was in banking for 13 and a half years. So that picture to the left there is me in my suit and tie, serving as a senior vice president of First Bank. And then the picture to the right was actually my senior picture. And it's black and white, not because I'm old. It's black and white because I didn't turn in my senior picture on time. My mom didn't really know about it. I didn't really care about it until I saw everybody else's beautiful pictures in the yearbook, and I had this black and white picture in my yearbook. But again, it kind of speaks to me having to really kind of figure things out on myself, and it took a long time for me to get there. But again, when we look at my travels and what ended up happening or my path in life is I was all over the place in high school. I wanted to be an architect, an astronaut, and I really had no idea what either of those really did, only generally. I just thought they were cool. And I have a lot of students who come to me and just say, oh, I want to be this, I want to be that, but very much like myself, don't really have an idea of what it is. And that's why we bring to you ICAP, is we're asking you to dig deeper and to think about what you want to do, but also realize that your path is going to be different. But it is really important that right now you really start thinking about it. It's not important that you have it figured out now. It's not even necessarily important that you have it figured out next year. Most importantly is that you are actively thinking about it, that you're actively exploring it and trying to figure things out. And that's not something I really did. And I didn't have anybody pointing me that way. And I didn't have ICAP in high school. And so I want to tell you about my path because it helps inform how I work with you. So, fist of five, fist being 0, 3 being a kind of, and 5 being a big yes. Right now for you all, fist of 5. I know what my goals are for after high school. This is often referred to as your post-secondary plan. All right, look around. Fist of five. I think it is important to know exactly what I want to do after I graduate. Hands up. Take a look around. See where everybody else is at. And lastly, ICAP lessons. ICAP lessons make me think more about my future. Up to this point, if they're not making you think more about about your future, then I'm not doing as good a job as I want to do. But as we dive into our ICAP lessons and these future lessons that I work with you, I really want you to be thinking about these things, not to the point where you're stressing yourself out, but to the point where you see it these times where we're discussing ICAP, times outside of school where you have questions, just any time in general where you're using as exploration time. Really want you to think about what you want to do in the future. And so this is a counseling team. Now, most of you know Miss Wicker's left, but we've got Miss Cipher, Miss Pina to the top right, who's our new counselor, Miss Gandara, who has been here at our school, but is now serving as a counselor / college readiness coordinator for 10th grade. And then Miss Rodriguez, who was our Denver Scholarship Foundation representative college advisor. And so I want you to see their paths. Miss Pena, when she was in high school, she wanted to be a social worker who worked with children. She ended up pursuing that major, social work, in college. She worked in children's mental health, eventually left the field to be home with her 4 children. She homeschooled all of her children for 12 years and then decided to become a school counselor. So then she went back to college, got a master's of art in school counseling, and now she's a school counselor here at our school. Miss Gandara, she entered high school at Montbello High School. She wanted to be an elementary school teacher. After she graduated high school, she moved to Mexico for teaching or psychology in different schools there. And her statement was, I don't know if that was destiny, but the tests for both careers were the same day. So I had to choose, and I decided psychology, and now I don't regret it. It was great for those 5 years studying educational psychology. So just by chance, she didn't end up getting to pursue both or seeing whether both was an option. She ended up getting steered just by a matter of the days the test took place towards psychology, and that ended up being her focus. So she came here and served as a paraprofessional, serving multi-language learners, and now she's a college readiness coordinator / counselor here at Martin Luther King. So her path is unique. Miss Cipher, in high school, she didn't know what she wanted to be. She took a career assessment during senior year, and it said she should be a counselor. In college, she got a bachelor's degree in psychology. She entered college uncertain, took classes in art and general education, but found psychology and knew that was it. Her career, her first career at least, after college, she worked at the University of Phoenix as a college advisor for 3 years, and she had several positions with the University of Phoenix. She ended up quitting because she knew she wanted to work with children. Kind of her second career, she worked at a treatment center for youth. She really missed education and ended up becoming a full-time substitute at CPA and West Early College. Her next career decision came down to being a school counselor, a social worker, or a teacher. She chose school counseling, and so she went back to school and got her master's of art in school counseling, and she is now a school counselor at DMLK. Now, I've told you my story before in terms of previously being a banker, getting my bachelor's degree in business and finance, and then moving on eventually after 13 and a half years and getting my master's in school counseling. We all have different paths. So I'm going to ask your teachers to share. What do you think you wanted to do after you graduated from high school? What was your initial degree and major or minor? What was your first career? Did you have a second career? If so, what was it? And did you go back to school? If so, for what degree or certification? And that's how I'd like to wrap up the class. So teachers, I'm going to ask you to answer these questions. And then I'm going to go back to those questions, but want to make sure everybody is prepared for our next lessons. And that is making sure you can get into Student Portal using your student ID and 8-digit birthday for your password. Once you get there, you can select See All Apps, and you're going to access Maya Learning. Maya Learning is how we are going to do a lot of work. So Maya Learning is in that page once you select See All Apps. Also, if you ever have problems logging into Schoology, you can just go directly through the student portal, and that's where I have Schoology circled there. So I'm going to give you the time to focus on your teacher answering these questions and giving you an idea about their careers. But also, in the meantime, next time we meet, we're going to be going into Maya Learning. We're going to be going into Student Portal. And so I want to make sure that you know or are prepared for that, and know that having access to those resources and knowing what you're doing in terms of being able to explore your student portal and explore Maya Learning will help you answer some of the questions that you have and help you plan for the future. So teachers, take it away and answer these questions. Have a great day.